If you've got $500 to invest in crypto right now, I honestly think XRP might be the sharpest move you could make. And every time I see legacy media talk about it, I can't help but chuckle a little. It's always so endearing when outlets that barely grasp anything about crypto, let alone XRP, try to weigh in. They usually fumble the basics. Case in point, this article I came across. You'll see it shortly, but let me just say, they literally claim Ripple created XRP. Like, come on, rookie mistake. But hey, at least they're trying. Effort counts. Right. To be fair, the article itself isn't awful. In fact, it leans very pro-XRP. You can see the excitement in the headline, it's pretty glowing. And that's what makes it interesting. Here's why. Anytime you notice major media starting to hype XRP, crypto in general, it often signals we're getting toward the end of a market cycle. That doesn't mean the cycle's over today, but it's worth watching. Back in 2017, or actually early 2018, XRP hit an all-time high around $3.30. It had gone from half a penny to a few bucks in a short time. I'll never forget it. CNBC did a segment where they were literally teaching people how to buy XRP on live TV. If that's not a top signal, I don't know what is. And if we see that kind of thing again, you can bet I'll be laughing just as hard. We're not at that point right now, but it's a pattern you've got to keep an eye on. A lot of us joke that mainstream attention is a top signal, and while we're joking, we're also not joking. There's almost no way XRP has topped for this cycle. I'm expecting much higher prices, something truly insane. So just keep that in mind. Quick disclaimer before I go deeper, I'm not a financial advisor. I have no formal financial background. Don't buy or sell anything just because of what I say. I'm just a guy who loves talking crypto for fun. This is a hobby. Let's break this down. These days, $500 doesn't feel like much, especially if you drop it into something like the S&P 500. Historically, you might get around a 10% return each year, so we're talking $50 a year. Not too exciting. And just to be precise, you're not investing directly in the index. You're buying into an ETF that tracks it. I might be nitpicking, but shouldn't the mainstream media know that? Anyway, crypto is a whole different beast. Yeah, it comes with more volatility, but that's the point of investing movement. You want your money to do something. If your investment just sits there and barely moves, what are you really doing? That's just preserving cash, not building wealth. Now, back to XRP. The article describes it as a payments-focused token, which is kind of a strange way to phrase it, but their overall point is that XRP could be a strong long-term play. And you know what? They're actually not wrong. With its growing legal clarity in the US and its mission to revolutionize global transactions, XRP's looking solid. And here's the thing, this isn't speculation anymore.
Back in 2017, people were asking, will XRP succeed? But today,
it already has. It's not a theory, it's real. Companies around the world are using it in payment systems. It's not an experiment anymore. People use XRP as a bridge currency, and yes, some even use it for everyday purchases. Meanwhile, the XRP ledger is hosting tokenized assets like gold, T-bills, even money market funds. This thing works. The bigger question now is, how long? Until the rest of the world realizes what we already know? Yes, let's face it. If you're hearing this in August 2025, you're way ahead of the crowd. Less than 1% of the global population has ever owned XRP. You're still early. That's how these massive returns are made, by recognizing opportunity before the masses do. And no, XRP isn't done. Far from it. Now, let's talk politics for a sec. Trump's victory in the presidential election triggered a strong rally across the crypto market, and honestly, it's not hard to see why Wall Street's feeling bullish. On the campaign trail, Trump made big promises to support crypto, and so far, it's actually following through, even surpassing expectations with some major legislative wins. Remember when people said he was just pretending to care about crypto to win votes? Where are they now? They've gone quiet, because clearly they were way off. I always thought he'd lean pro-crypto, but even I didn't expect him to go this hard in support. Just look at what's happened recently. On July 18th, Trump signed the Genius Act, short for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins. This bill is designed to set up a legal framework for issuing dollar-backed stablecoins. That's a huge step forward. Let's talk about one of the biggest reasons XRP is looking even more attractive right now. RLUSD, Ripple's very own stablecoin, launched back in December. And here's the kicker. If you're transacting on the XRP ledger, you must use XRP. It's literally required for every single transaction. Yes, RLUSD also exists on Ethereum, but if it's moving on the XRP ledger, XRP is essential. That's a major win for XRP holders, plain and simple. Now, let's shift to legislation. For a moment, the Genius Act recently signed into law, a massive step toward giving crypto the mainstream legitimacy it's long deserved. With clear rules in place, businesses and institutional investors will finally have the confidence to get involved. Knowing they won't accidentally land in regulatory hot water, compare that to the environment under the previous administration back, when enforcement was the go-to strategy instead of guidance. Ripple Labs, the main developer behind the XRP ecosystem, got caught in that legal mess. And just to clarify, for the 100th time, Ripple didn't create XRP. The token existed before Ripple was even founded. This is like basically Villa stuff, but somehow mainstream media still struggles to get it right. Shocking, I know. Let's not forget the SEC's former head Ye, the guy who looked like a real-life Mr. Burns. Remember him? Gary Gensler? He used it to arrogantly claim there was plenty of regulatory clarity in crypto. Oh, really? So what's this genius act then? Just for decoration? Please. That guy was lying through his teeth every time he claimed the rules were clear, and we all knew it. Thankfully, he's out of the picture now. Back in 2021, Ripple lost one of its biggest partners, MoneyGram, because of that very lawsuit. They ditched Ripple's liquidity solutions after the SEC filed charges alleging XRP was an unregistered security. But guess what? That case is basically over. XRP is not considered a security when sold to the public. So the only thing left is some final cleanup around potential penalties related to Ripple's past sales to institutions. And once again, mainstream media messes this part up. They make it sound like XRP being sold to retail investors means it's just permanently safe. That's not how it works. The legal case was focused on Ripple's specific sales. No court said XRP is always safe when sold to retail investors. Could package anything Bitcoin, XRP, whatever, in a way that violates securities law. That doesn't mean the asset itself is a security. The media needs to stop oversimplifying this stuff. Now, here's where they actually get something right. XRP's real-world utility. That's the reason many of us are here. And no, the XRP community isn't a cult. We're not out here worshiping our holdings like certain Bitcoin maximalists who act like Satoshi's disciples. XRP holders are here because we see it for what it is, a digital asset with real practical use cases. That's the difference. We believe that utility matters, and assets that solve real-world problems are the ones that'll thrive long-term. Businesses, institutions, and everyday users will naturally gravitate toward crypto assets that work. That's what drew me to XRP in the first place. Back in 2017, I had that aha moment. I realized there are entire business models that simply can't exist without decentralized cryptocurrencies. It's not in the traditional finance world. And once I understood that, it clicked: crypto isn't going anywhere. Of course, since then, I've come across other reasons crypto is here to stay, but that was the light bulb moment for me. XRP opened my eyes to the bigger picture. Here's another thing XRP gets right. It can actually function as peer-to-peer cash. Unlike Bitcoin, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly efficient for payments, RP is fast, cheap, and scalable. But beyond being a currency, it powers international transactions, tokenized assets, and more. Yet again, mainstream media misses the mark. They say XRP focuses on payments. XRP isn't alive, it doesn't focus on anything, it's not sentient, it's a tool, a protocol. It enables use cases that make sense, which is more than I can say for most of the crypto projects chasing gimmicks. Instead of trying to be some decentralized app casino full of hype and hot air, XRP aims at solving real problems, namely international payments. Now that's $1 trillion market. Let's clear up something the media still seems confused about. Ripple is actively positioning XRP as a bridge currency. That's the proper way to say it. XRP itself isn't focusing on anything, it's a decentralized asset. People can use it however they want, and frankly, that's nobody else's business. Most XRP holders don't use it as a bridge asset in their day-to-day lives, but Ripple does, and that's a major distinction. Yes, you can also use XRP to buy stuff. People are doing that right now, it's flexible. But in terms of Ripple's vision, they're all in on using XRP to connect different currencies across borders. Here's why XRP is well suited for that role. It's lightning fast and dirt cheap. We're talking 0.00001 XRP per transaction. It's basically free. If someone in the US wants to send money to Japan, they can convert dollars to XRP, then convert that XRP to yen without dealing with slow, expensive middlemen.
Wow.
Some argue that dollar-pegged stablecoins are better for this, since they avoid price swings. Okay, fine, you can make that argument. But honestly, I've said it for years and I'll say it again, XRP's volatility is a non-issue in these scenarios. Transactions settle so quickly that price movement is practically irrelevant 99.9% of the time. Just doesn't matter. And let's not forget, Ripple's payment infrastructure still relies heavily on XRP. They built the whole Ripple payment system. and they have every incentive to keep XRP as the backbone of cross-border liquidity. So no, they're not abandoning XRP, quite the opposite. Now, some people panicked when Ripple launched RLUSD, their own dollar-backed stablecoin, in 2024. They were like, oh no, is Ripple giving up on XRP? Let me answer that clearly. Absolutely not. RLUSD and XRP are both native to the XRP ledger. And here's the kicker. You can't even move RLUSD on the XRP ledger without using XRP. Every transaction still requires XRP for fees. And those fees are permanently removed from supply. That's deflationary, which is great for XRP holders. So more RLUSD usage equals more XRP usage. It's that simple. This isn't competition, it's symbiosis. Now to the million-dollar question, is it too late to buy XRP? Short answer, hell no. Can you even imagine what XRP could be worth 10, 15, 20 years from now? People are going to look back and say, wait, you bought XRP when it was around $3? They'll be stunned, jealous even, especially if they missed out. Most people haven't even heard of XRP, let alone bought any. It's still early, crazy early. So if you're in now, you're way ahead of the curve. At the time of this recording, XRP is trading around $3.15, and yet it's the third largest crypto by market cap, about $187 billion. That massive size gives it more stability and credibility, sure. But it also means you won't see another 80,000% moonshot like we saw back in 2017. That's just the reality. But let's be real, you don't need that kind of return to make life-changing gains. With XRP positioned where it is, you could still see huge upside in dollar terms. Doubling, tripling, quadrupling, that's still very much on the table. Then, the article wraps up with a quote from the Motley Fool analyst team. It's claiming they've identified the 10 best stocks to buy right now. A surprise, surprise, XRP isn't one of them. No kidding, because XRP isn't a stock, geniuses. It's a decentralized crypto asset. Why would it even be on that list? This is what I mean when I say it's kind of adorable watching traditional finance people try to wade into crypto. They mean well, but oof, still, I'm not too harsh on them. The article overall has a positive tone, and it's great to see XRP getting more mainstream attention. Expect that to increase big time in the coming months and years. But I'll leave you with this warning. If you ever see a major network once, again, teaching people how to buy XRP on live TV, run. That's a sign we're at the peak of the market cycle. It's just like last time. Good times.